Hello everyone, my name is Luke Webb, and today I'm going to be telling you how Mike Trout is going to be known as the greatest baseball player of all time before his career is over. When thinking about the greatest baseball player of all time, names like Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Ty Cobb, many other old-timer names like that, Barry Bonds, different names like that come to mind, and young guys that are in the league currently like Mike Trout just kind of roam in the back of your mind when you're thinking about the greatest baseball player of all time. Some people would even argue that Mike Trout is the greatest baseball player of all time at this point. And I would have to say that is a stretch currently because he hasn't been able to prove himself through the rest of his career. But today I want to just inform you guys on how Mike Trout is going to be known as the greatest baseball player of all time. Looking at slide 2, you can see a picture of a young kid holding a poster up that says, "I want to be like Mike. Trout is my idol." When I look at that poster, I can see how Mike Trout has influenced the game of baseball. He has influenced people to want to be like him, and I've even seen the same thing in my own life. Watching him play for practically my whole entire life and seeing just the way that he portrays himself on the field, the way that he hustles everywhere that he goes, makes me want to be a better baseball player, a better man, and just it's something that I want to strive to be like. Now to talk about what separates Mike Trout from all the rest. On slide 3, you can see that Mike Trout in his first 10 years of his career has stats that align with the rest of the all-time greats, some that are even exponentially better. I will go into those later, but to start off, I will talk about his WAR. WAR stands for wins above replacement, and it's just there's a big formula that calculates many different things to bring apart a number. And for example, only 6 players have ever had a WAR above 60 before they were 27. So 60 can kind of be seen as like the elite benchmark for a top baseball player's WAR. But then when we see Mike Trout, he's in a complete league of his own with a WAR above 70 before he was 27. And I got that stat from ESPN. Now looking at some in-depth stats of players before their 1,000th at-bat, you can see on slide 4 how Mike Trout just offers the complete package. He's known as a 5-tool player. And that's a term that is used in the baseball community fairly often. It means that he's able to do basically anything that you would want him to do. He's able to go out and steal bags, hit home runs, hit for average, just do anything that you would want a baseball player to do on your team. So when you look at the all-time leader in hits before his 1,000th at-bat, it's Pete Rose with 1,231. And just for all of you guys, as a reference, this is on slide 4. So Pete Rose has 1,231 hits before his 1,000th at-bat, and Mike Trout lines up to that stat with 1,126. When you're talking about total bases, Hank Aaron has 2,221, while Mike Trout has 2,100. Now on to home runs. The all-time leader of home runs of all time was Barry Bonds, and before his 1,000th at-bat, he had 172, while Mike Trout had 224. Rickey Henderson, the all-time leader in stolen bases, before his 1,000th at-bat, had 795 runs scored, while Mike Trout had 754. And then when you're talking about walks, Barry Bonds had 603, while Mike Trout was at 638. Those just show you how Mike Trout is able to do anything you want him to do on the field and how he's able to stack up with these all-time greats before his 1,000th at-bat. And one thing that I would like for you guys to keep in mind is how young Mike Trout is and how much time he has to just grow and mature in his baseball game. Last year, he just signed a 13-year deal with the Angels. It was the largest contract in MLB history, and it just proves how much time he has left and how much more time he has to be able to win a World Series and continue to get all these accolades that prove him to be one of the greatest of all time. Now moving on to slide 5 for some review. I would like to talk about how Mike Trout stands above and beyond all other competition at his age. While as we were looking at on slide 4, you can see how Mike Trout just stacks up with everyone else on all of those categories, proving to be an ultimate 5-tool player. And as I said on slide 3, Mike Trout's WAR, his wins above replacement, is almost 10 points above anyone else's at the age of 27. This proves Mike Trout to bring exactly what any team would want to the table. And that is why I believe Mike Trout is set apart from everyone else, causing him to someday be known as the greatest baseball player of all time. Thank you guys.